Shalom. First and foremost, before I get started, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who taught me this truth and rule well, peace and blessings unto the hopeful elect, pushing his word throughout the four corners of the earth in truth, righteousness, and sincerity. To you I say Shalom. This is the brother Yeshaya coming at you again through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai. And in this lesson, I'm pretty much going to be going into these 15-minute cities and this dystopian society that is being established under Esau Edom, right? The so-called white man. Because as we understand, pursuant to Revelation 12 and 12, as a matter of fact, let me go to it. Revelation 12 and verse 12, he's going to come down with that great wrath, right? So it says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time." So this man is operating in haste, because he knows his end is near, right? So in these last days that he has, he's going to be operating in a cruel, very hateful type of manner, to where he's not going to show no mercy, right? Young, old, women, child, man, it doesn't matter, right? This man's prepared to eliminate a vast majority of people pursuant to their Georgia Guidestones of reducing population to 500 million, right? This man has intentions of having a world reset, to where only those who he chooses to live in his society and those who are down with his society will be allowed to live in it, right? And these 15-minute cities are just the beginning of that, because what he wants is control, right? And that's what these cities are for him to maintain control, to centralize people into a certain locations and to abide by certain rules. Because what's going to happen is, through the digital ID and through all these flock cameras and legislation, they're going to pretty much institute the same thing as China, right? A social credit score, where whatever you do is going to be monitored. Everything you do is going to be calculated into this algorithm to give you whatever social credit score, pretty much, uh, 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 um, pretty much marking you to be either a bad citizen or a good citizen, right? But I'm gonna play this video, and I'm gonna touch on more points as we go along, bring out some more precepts. So, without further ado, let me play this.
Okay, guys, this is something I noticed. Now, we're here in Austin at a place called The Domain. Now, very nice, luxury stores and whatnot, but if you pay attention, this is actually a 15-minute city. The reason being, if you look up here, you have endless apartment buildings on top of the whole entire shopping center. You have luxury stores. You have people walking around, to where within 15 minutes, you can get to everything. Your shopping, your food, your entertainment, you name it, and nobody really notices. Even right here, you have advertising right here, 24/7. And it's targeted towards a certain demographic, people with money. Why else would you live on top of a Rolex store? You have Aloe, Anthropology. This just goes on and on, you guys. This is a part to where I haven't even seen this part yet. Keep in mind, it's called The Domain. They have domain over you. Pay attention, it just keeps going.
Never ending.
Never ending. Building apartments on top of a building. Louis Vuitton over here. This is crazy. Nobody really realizes it, but this is a condensed, highly populated area, to where you really can't leave, because you really don't have to. Live, come down, shop, eat, Balenciaga.
This is really it.
Versace. Again, they are targeting towards people who with money and keeping everybody else out. It's haves and have-nots. And I've been telling you guys, Agenda 2030, this is what's happening. This is what they're doing right now.
Shit keeps going.
It keeps going. Look at this.
Tesla, Montclair, shit keeps going.
We checked out the domain for a while. This is a new part that we haven't seen before.
We've been coming here for the past 3 days.
Yeah, comedy club right here. You have your parking, you have shopping, where you live.
They're really doing these 15-minute cities. This is crazy. We're out in Austin. Hey, look.
Built right in.
Built right in.
Right here.
Parking lot, right behind the... I've never seen this. It's still going.
It's still going.
It's still going.
Damn.
Got IKEA at the corner.
Now you're asking yourself, who actually owns this 15-minute city? And there is a few interesting companies like Simon Property Group, Cousins Property Group, but who owns those groups? Did some research, lo and behold, BlackRock and Vanguard are the major shareholders in this 15-minute city.
Hey.
Surprise, surprise, right?
Same shit, different day.
More parking, more residential spaces, and it's all connected. And it just keeps going.
All this is all the same
All
shit.
this is the same thing.
Yeah.
Work here, live here, eat here, never leave.
Retail hell.
All right, so there you go. Right. So pretty much these 15-minute cities, you're gonna have everything stacked on top of each other, right? Where everything is condensed. You're gonna have, on your ground floor, you're gonna have your restaurants, your dentists, your doctors, your shopping. Everything is gonna be done within this 15 minute radius, right? Your apartments is gonna be there, and in order to exit the city, you're gonna need permission. It's almost like, whenever you enter a different country, you have to show your passport. You're gonna have to do this. You're gonna have to sign some paperwork or whatever, right? You're gonna need a visa. This is essentially what this is gonna come down to, in order to keep, because they're talking about global warming and keeping everything green. Well, it's gonna be all in means of, all under the name of, making the earth green again, and reducing the carbon footprint, right? This is all, like I said, this is all means for control. They're really just manipulating and deceiving the people into believing in this nonsense, and in order to bottleneck them into submission, right? But things is gonna get worse. They're gonna amp up their weather machine, cause different earthquakes, tornadoes, natural disasters in various cities to pretty much start moving people into these new cities, right? But let me go ahead and play this next video real quick, right? And this one is a new construction. I forget exactly the location. He might say it, but I know it's in Texas. But let me play this.
I am actually on site at this facility, this new 15-minute city that they're building. And as I told you guys in the previous post, I own a trucking company, and my purpose of being here is that we deliver the lighting for this place. And this is how I learned that this place actually existed. So these are the lights that I bring here every week, twice a week, for this monstrosity of a complex. So it's just not, I'm getting pictures from somebody else. This is actually a real place that I'm at. This is in Frisco, Texas.
Okay, so he said the name, right? Frisco, Texas. They're building a new, 15-minute city. But these things are popping up everywhere, right? They're everywhere. Now let me get one more video.
And things in China, when it comes to technology, roll out a lot faster than they do in the West. So all you have to do is evaluate what's taking place in China, what's called 15-minute cities, where in order for me to enter my apartment complex.
Right. So one thing I want to mention is pretty much China is like a testing ground, for all these new technologies and all these new concepts of 15-minute cities, right? Social credit score, whatever you see going on in China, that's the test ground, or the whatever you call it, right? The testing ground for these different ideas to be applied to the rest of the world, right? You saw during the whole C-19 endemic event, how I believe it was I forgot who said it, whether it was Fauci or Klaus Schwab, one of them. They were talking about how China is the ideal. Um, Pretty much, they were happy how China did, as far as the masking, the 6 feet separation, how pretty much how they got everything under control as far as the people and keeping everything, pretty much under surveillance and everybody under lockdown. It was a lot easier. The process was a lot smoother. Well, they want that same process to get people on the line in a efficient manner. They want all that over here, right? Because, like I said, for the top elite, the normal people or people, period, are considered useless eaters, right? The majority of people are considered useless on this planet Earth, right? So what they're trying to do is, bring up certain topics like, oh, the soil depletion, or resources becoming um, depleted, right? In order to justify themselves going forth with this plan that they have, right? But let me finish this out.
I have to do a biometric scan in order for me to leave my.
Let me play it back.
And things in China, when it comes to technology, roll out a lot faster than they do in the West. So all you have to do is evaluate what's taking place in China, what's called 15-minute cities, where in order for me to enter my apartment complex, I have to do a biometric scan. In order for me to leave my apartment, I have to do a biometric scan. That information gets sent to the government agency or police station, and it gets.
You see what I'm saying? So you're gonna be constantly under surveillance. You're gonna be controlled. You're gonna be monitored, right? The digital ID, you're gonna need that. But we understand where this is going towards. The MOTB, right? The micro C hip is gonna be implanted under the skin, right? Where you're gonna need that to be able to travel out of your city or even out of your house. Like you mentioned, you're gonna need to, you know, have a biometric scan just to, get in your house or even leave your house, right? And all that information gets sent to a directory, you know, go through this AI data centers, right, where they're gonna be able to track and trace everything. The government is gonna be able to uh, um, see your activity, what you buy, what you spend, where you go, right? You're going to be connected to the Internet of Things, which means no privacy. So that shows you that these cities are going to be run under a whole different type of law. Your constitution is going to be thrown out the window, right? Whatever the United States Constitution, right? All that is going to be tossed out, right? But let me finish this out.
You logged in, so much so to the point where if you have a poor social credit score and you do a biometric scan in these 15-minute cities and you want to get into your apartment, it says access denied. They don't even let you into your own home.
You hear that? So if your social credit score, which is coming here as well, if your social credit score gets down or low enough, you ain't even going to be allowed into your own house. You ain't going to be allowed to drive your own car. You ain't going to be able to ride public transportation. And there was a video that I seen a while back. I'll say like about 3 or 4 years back, of this Moabite over there in China. He's like a mixed martial artist or something, but he ended up fighting some kung fu master, and apparently that ended up lowering his social credit score so low to the point where he's not even able to ride public transportation. You see? So this is where things is headed, man. The same thing that's going on in China, that is going to come over here into the West, right? So let me continue playing this. It's only a couple seconds left.
It's getting really crazy. And during COVID, the 15-minute city lockdowns, you couldn't leave your apartment because everything's basically surrounded and covered.
Yeah, they had a bad,
Pretty crazy.
They had a really bad.
That was pretty much on that, right? So he mentioned, the whole C-19 event and how people that were living there, they were pretty much they couldn't leave. You couldn't leave your house, right? You couldn't go outside to get some fresh air. You couldn't go to visit somebody, right? Now, let's go ahead and get some precepts because all this is biblical, man. All this is written in the scriptures. So this is Second Ezra. We're gonna start off with this one. Second Ezra 15, and I'll start at verse 16. Um, it says, "For this shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their action shall stand in the power." Right. So things are gonna get so bad, whether it's the inflation, right? People can't afford groceries, um, stagnation of supplies, being transported, this war, right? Making resources scarce as far as food, um, all types of goods, being hard to come by, and jobs, laying people off, all this is going to cause a big uproar amongst the people, right? To the point where martial law, or as a matter of fact, it's going to say in verse 17, let me read that real quick. But it says, "A man shall desire to go into the city and shall not be able," right? Because people are going to be rioting, people are going to be, in an uproar. And this is going to cause for Donald Trump to establish that Insurrection Act, and start locking shit down, you know. And these people that are pretty much in these 15-minute cities, it's going to be easy to keep or have them, under control, right? All they'll have to worry about is the people that are outside of these cities, right? And those that are in these cities, whether they uh, um agree to it, because to be in this city, you're gonna have to have your digital ID, which eventually they might end up having you, which we know that this is all prophecy, right? Prophecy states that you know Esau is gonna cause all both small and great. As a matter of fact, let me go to that. Um, Revelation 13 and verse 16. "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads." Right? So we understand, pursuing the prophecy, that that this is the end all be all, or this is the end goal, I should say, right? Having everybody implanted with this micro C hip, right? And if you um, get the C hip, you'll be able to, operate within the city. You can walk around freely. You'll be able to buy groceries. You can be able to eat. You can be able to live a normal life, so to speak, right? But if you don't get down with Esau's program and take the micro C hip, you're gonna be excommunicated. You're gonna be out there, scavenging, being a gatherer and hunterer again. You know, this is what he has in mind, and this is how he's gonna try to uh, uh, um, again bottleneck people into submitting, right? And these 15-minute cities are a piece of that puzzle. All right, that's the dystopian society, that this, like you see in these movies, like Equilibrium, or there's a couple, there's a lot of movies out there, but the one that really comes to mind is that movie Equilibrium. um Pretty much everybody is like in this, they have to take these injections all the time. They have to, follow the laws to the T. It's like and everybody is holding each other accountable. Like, that's the type of society we're going to come down to, right? To where um any action that you do that's contrary or is unfavorable to their system, that's going to bring you down a couple notches in your social credit score, all the way down to the point where if you do something even worse, they're going to just kick you out. They can just turn off your chip if you're speaking out against, the oppression, the legislation that they're enacting at that time, right? Which we understand things is gonna get worse. Things is gonna get way worse, man. So let me read this. Let me continue reading it. And he causeth all, reading verse 16 again, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Right? So you ain't gonna be able to buy, sell, you ain't gonna be able to operate. Right? You ain't gonna be able to move around in these cities. Shit, you ain't even gonna be allowed in to these cities, right? Like I said, things is gonna get that bad, man. Things are gonna get worse. You know, when you go to Daniel 8 and verse 25, it says, and through his policy, which we know this verse is talking about Antiochus, but we understand that Esau is coming in the same spirit, right? But it says, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many, right? So he's going to, through his policy, through his laws, his legislation, right? He's going to cause craft to prosper. So craft, when you go into that word craft, um, it says deceit, treachery, deceit, deceitful, deceitfully false, guile, craft, subtlety, treachery, because that's what he has in store for these people. They don't understand that, or a lot of these people don't get, because they don't listen to the prophets, but they don't understand that these this new new world order, or this new legislation that they have in mind, this new form of governance, is not going to be, to your benefit. You know, Klaus Schwab said it. You shall own nothing and be happy. Right? They're going to own everything. You're going to have to be on a subscription based type of lifestyle, to where everything you own is going to be, through this subscription. Which you ain't even going to own anything. Everything you're going to have is going to be through subscription based. Right? Your movies, your food, uh, 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 you, whatever transportation you go, you take, you might have to subscribe to some type of subscription, you know, to visit relatives that are, on a different, block, or a different 15-minute city, man. Or you can only be able to, take vacation, you know, at this time, or, what I'm saying, uh, 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 you can only have, 3 days to go visit, or to go travel to different locations, right? This is the type of policy that he has in mind, man. But it says, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart. Right, this man is puffing himself up because he really believes that he's going to accomplish his enterprise, to where he's going to be like the Most High. He's going to see all, he's going to know all, right? And everybody's going to have to submit. But it says, and by peace shall destroy many, right? Because what's he doing? He's saying that this is going to be this is going to be for your betterment, right? If you take this MOTB and live in his 15-minute city, you're going to be at peace. You're going to be able to live a normal lifestyle, right? You ain't going to have to deal with the earthquakes and all the, natural disasters that's taking place, right? You're going to be protected, right? But it says, and by peace shall destroy many, right? Because this is ultimately going to be for your destruction. Pursuant to the prophecy, those who take the MOTB are going to be, cast into the lake of fire, which is going to be the nuclear destruction, you know, uh, um, that's going to pretty much end Esau's reign with the return of our Lord Yahushua. But it says, he also shall stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. So from here, let's get what was it? Isaiah 14. Yep, Isaiah 14. Like I said, what he's trying to do with all this is him prop himself up as being the 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 Most High. So this is Isaiah 14 in verse 12. It says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer?" Which Lucifer just means light bearer. So this is targeting those that contain the light on this side, which is wisdom, which are your top elite, right? Your bankers. These are the ones that are pulling the strings. These are the ones that run the world. But it says, "How art thou fallen from heaven?" Because right now they're in their heaven. "O Lucifer, son of the morning, how art thou cut down to the ground?" Which this weaken the nations, right? Because that's what this man's going. That's what's going to happen to this man. This man is going to get cut down. He's not going to be able to accomplish his enterprise, right? He has everything, all in place to do so. But what he doesn't understand is that prophecy is going to meet him, right? Yahweh Shai is going to meet him. But it says, verse 13, "For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north." So that's in his heart, right? This man has a God complex where he wants to be the Most High, right? That's why everything he does is contrary to the Lord, because ultimately what he's trying to do is move the Most High out of the way, right? That's the reason why some of these places like Canada, they have that new law where you can't even preach certain things, otherwise they'll be deemed hate speech or something like that, some or the other, right? And all that is going to come down here in America too, man. Right? When you go into Amos, I believe it's the 8th chapter, it goes into, a famine of the word. And that's going to be because they're going to outlaw the preaching of the Bible, the preaching of truth, right? Truth is going to be outlawed, you know? But we understand, all this is going to come down upon the people. That great wrath is going to come down upon the people, and people going to choose. A lot of people are going to choose this, man. They're going to choose to side with this devil. They're going to choose to get implanted. They're going to choose to go into these 15-minute cities and abide by this social credit score that they're going to have in place, right? Now, us, Lord willing, will be part of the elect. But the elect, they're not going to take this thing. They're not going to take the MOTB. They're not going to, submit under Esau's rule, man. Right? So let's get this. Because even though they exile us, even though they kick us out, we're without food. We got to deal with whatever we got to deal with because it's going to get crazy out here. We're going to be protected, and we're not going to lean upon Esau no more, right? So this is Isaiah 10 and verse 20. "And it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant," right, talking about the elect of Israel, and such as are escaped from the house of Jacob, or of the house of Jacob, shall no more again stay upon him that smote them. Right? So we're no longer going to lean upon him, right? When this man comes up or comes with that great wrath and, you know, gives you the ultimatum of take this or die, hey, the elect are going to choose death. Right? The elect are going to choose death before submitting, man, before bending the knee. So it says, but shall stay upon the Lord Yahweh, the Holy One of Israel, in truth. Right? So we're going to rely on the Lord. The Lord is going to be our protection in these days, man. Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah is going to keep his men, going to keep his elect, right? And that's pursuant to what, as Isaiah 65 and 13. Right. It says, therefore, thus saith the Lord power, behold, my servant shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Right? Because there's going to come a time where there's going to be great famine, right? Great death, danger on all sides. A lot of people, they're going to starve to death. They're not going to be able to eat, right? But the servants of the Lord will. It says, behold, my servants shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servants shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. Behold, my servants shall sing for joy of heart, but ye shall cry for sorrow of heart, and shall howl for vexation of spirit. Right? Because there's going to be a lot of hell going on. People are going to be crying. People are going to be, through. But like I said, the elect, they're going to lean on the Lord and they're going to be protected. Right? All the miracles that we've seen in the scriptures. Right? All that is going to be happening again. Being fed by animals. Having food just materialize in front of us. right? But anyway, um, that was pretty much it, man. These 15-minute cities, though, they're here, man. We here, man. There's a couple more things that got to be played out, um, and you know, we understand that this is the end. We understand that we're coming to a time where, um, really you're gonna have to choose a side, right? And where our faith is gonna be tested, you know. But as long as we remain, true to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, man, we got nothing to worry about, right? The scripture says, "Be faithful unto death, and I shall give thee a crown of life," right? And that's what we're striving for, right? And we pray that we're able to endure in these harsh times, right? And our faith and the Holy Spirit remains with us, right? So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and close it out. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashim, Yahweh Shai Ba'Hashem, Racha HaKodash. Also, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth and rule well, and peace and blessings to the hopeful elect pushing his word throughout the four corners of the earth in truth, righteousness, and sincerity. Until the next time, I'm going to say Shalom and Kwam Yasha Allah.